Hey everyone, welcome to How People Flourish. My name is Chris Banky. I'm here with Prudence O'Hare.
Yes, and we're married.
We're married.
We always have to
We gotta
state
say it.
that.
We gotta say it. So we have a funny
Yeah.
story, which we're not going to tell you today, but maybe someday we will, about that. Why we have to say that.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay.
So today, first of all, thank you for joining. Put in the comments where you're coming to us from. I love to see who the farthest away is. Mary, good to see you from Oregon. We got Lori in here, Anthony, Molly, Ann, Ellie, Lori again, Judith, David. Okay, Marie, Tennessee, Florida. Okay, who's the farthest? I'm hoping somebody comes from like super far, like Australia or something. That's about as far from Oregon as you can get, right?
Yeah.
I think it is.
It's pretty far.
So put in the comments where you're coming to from. Today, we're going to be digging into something I am super passionate about and excited about. It's called Ravens and Algorithms. There's a book that is out now, which we're going to be talking about, right?
Yeah, I think you wrote it, didn't you?
I did. The guy that wrote it is absolutely brilliant, in my opinion.
He is
I'm
brilliant.
slightly biased.
Yes.
So we're going to get this kicked off here in just a second, but I want to make sure everyone has time to connect. We're streaming on a couple different places. So put in the comments where you're coming from. And as we're kind of kicking this thing off, do you want to explain what this is?
Yeah, we're not going to do trivia today, but I
was
was going
told we
to
can't
show
do trivia,
this
which I think
this
is
nice
unreasonable.
perler bead work of art that our 17-year-old daughter surprised Chris with and made him in honor of his book. I don't know if you can see that or not, but
Here, show it to this one.
we love handmade things around here. As we're talking about
It's a raven.
AI,
It's a raven.
we actually love authentic handmade things.
Oh, yeah, we do.
I do.
Yes, we do.
Maybe.
Absolutely. I even have this. Talk about this.
Yeah.
This is a mug with a raven on it. Handmade
Yeah.
mug with a raven on it.
Right. So we bought that from it was one of those little farmers markets, and a fellow there had made a bunch of these handmade mugs. This literally was $10. $10 for this handmade mug.
Can't believe I did
And
not
it can
buy-
go through the dishwasher.
I should have bought more
And
than
microwave.
One. Should have bought more than one.
Amazing.
Should have bought more than one. So if you're just joining us, my name's Chris Banky. This is Prudence O'Hare. We're going to be talking about ravens and algorithms. And if you don't know what that is, guess what? You're in the right place because we're going to go after it. So are you about ready to kick this off?
Yeah.
Like officially?
There's a lot to talk
There's
about.
a lot to talk about.
And there'll be a little space for questions and answers towards the end
Yeah,
here. So
it's
you
gonna be
guys
good.
can save that up.
It's going to be absolutely fantastic. Okay, so if we're ready to kick this thing off, we got to do our little intro jingle.
Well, you better do it.
Okay, let's do it. All right, everybody, let's kick this off. Officially, my name is Chris Banky. I'm here with Prudence O'Hare, my beautiful, wonderful wife, and we are talking today about ravens and algorithms. And if you're like, I don't know what this is, ravens, algorithms, it doesn't even make sense, you're in the right place. We're going to get after it. Both Kavix and Prudence told me we could not use trivia today, so we're not doing that. So if you were hoping for trivia, too bad. You and I both get to miss out on that. So Ravens and Algorithms, the book, has been out for
Here's
not
a
even
picture of it right
2
there.
months, not even 2 months, and it's people are really loving this book. Actually, I think it's incredible. I am biased because I wrote it, but it is, I think, important. I think it's an important book.
What's it about?
It's about ravens and algorithms.
No, that's the title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to just dive into what it's about?
Yes.
All right.
yes.
So to set the stage on Ravens and Algorithms, the book, we got to understand why I call it Ravens and Algorithms. So the algorithms, as you might be deducing, is like the AI side of things. And Ravens is referring to the story in the Bible where Elijah was fed by ravens when he was running for his life and he was camping out by a brook. Ravens brought him food.
It was the Uber.
It was the
Uber
Heaven's
that brought
Uber.
him meat.
Heaven's Uber that
Yeah,
brought him
yeah, food delivery.
tasty treats every night. The thing about it that was interesting, and this is like a pretty strong theme of the entire book, is that ravens are unclean. Ravens are not okay, and Elijah was a prophet of God. And any like prophet of God worth his salt, would not have accepted food from a raven, right? Ravens are like an inappropriate delivery system. And God chose to use ravens to bring Elijah his tasty treats, as
Yep.
you like to put it. So why did he do that? That's one question. And the fact that he did do that is, I think, something that is so important. I think it's worth paying attention to and making sure that we don't allow the way we think things are supposed to always be to control what God's actually trying to do when he is doing his thing across the earth. And so the title of the book, Ravens and Algorithms, is really helping us understand that God uses inappropriate delivery systems when he wants to. And he has never one time been offended by the delivery system that he uses. Only we get offended by the delivery systems that he uses. And scripture is just riddled with inappropriate delivery systems. So that's really what the Ravens and Algorithms is. This is a book about a Christian's response to AI.
Okay, but you didn't just set out to write a book about AI. There was something that you attended in Tennessee that actually kind of
Yes.
spawned this idea, actually.
Yeah, so the original concept of this book came in a situation that's just true. And I talk about this in the book, where I was asked to come speak to the executive team of a large global missionary company. Not a missionary company, a missions sending organization, nonprofit, a really big one. And basically, they have missionaries all over the world, thousands of them, and they train them and they equip them and they send them and they monitor them and they help them and they support them and all of this. And essentially, they asked me and they asked a software engineer from India and a guy that runs a software company and another gentleman to come in as world experts, like the top world experts, to speak to them from a Christian's perspective on AI. They had a lot of employees that were starting to use AI, and they had a lot of supporters that were terrified of it and a lot of employees that were terrified of it. So they have all these camps of people that love it and hate it, and they didn't know even what to think about it. So they brought in top world experts, and they asked me to come. And when I was there at that organization, the idea for what became this book, that's where I received it. And is that what you're talking about? Is that what I was supposed to answer?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
So,
Perfect.
so AI, which is called artificial intelligence, for those of us that may not know, is a new delivery system that has just showed up. And church is kind of doing what the church has done 6 times before.
Probably more than 6 times, actually.
We panic, don't we?
Yeah. So
We denounce, we retreat, we show up late.
we definitely show up late. Are you talking about the history that the church seems to have
Yes.
with every technological advance that's ever happened in the last 500 years?
Yep.
Yes. That's true.
But we're gonna talk today about not doing that.
Yes. Yeah.
Because we don't want to keep repeating the same mistakes
Yeah.
over and over and over. So
And if you guys don't know what Prudence is referring to, essentially, and a lot of you guys will be old enough to remember everything I'm going to talk about, except for the first example, which is the printing press, and maybe the second example, which is radio. But starting with the printing press, and actually it's before then too, but starting with the printing press, the church has made a habit of being afraid of and actually actively trying to stop every significant technological advance for the past 500 years. So people are like, printing press, wait a minute, wasn't that like Gutenberg and the Bible, and like the first major thing that the printing press accomplished was like getting the Bible out there? Yeah. It seems like the church would before that. It wasn't. The church was actually very afraid of the printing press because what they believed it would do would be to put the Bible in the hands of the average person, which today in today's day and age, we think, amazing. We have missionaries going all around the world trying to sneak Bibles into countries where it's not allowed. Why would the church not want the Bible? Well, they believed that a regular person was not equipped and could not handle having the Holy Scriptures in their hands. And so therefore they needed to control it. And they believed that if the printing press could get out there, then it would be bad. If you fast forward to radio, the church was deathly afraid of radio. Thought it would be just a way for Satan to sneak into every home.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you look at television, the church was deathly afraid of television. And in fact, there were entire campaigns and denominations that forbid televisions from being in people's homes. And shame was a extremely well-used tool to cause people to not want to have televisions in their home. And then if you go forward to the internet, back in the, right at the turn of the century, Y2K time, when the internet was starting to really gain a lot of traction, churches believed that it was literally the mark of the beast and Satan, and that the internet was going to be the downfall of all mankind. And then as social media came on the scene, same thing happened. Mm-hmm. It's the end of the world to have social media. And now here today, we're looking at AI, and AI, I think, actually dwarfs all of those things, even the printing press, actually, in the significance of it. And of course, much of the church is doing the same thing again, is absolutely terrified of it.
So one thing that these all are in common is they're actually tools. Mm-hmm. They're new tools that have arrived on the scene, and they're not going to be stopped. Mm-hmm. They're just not going to be stopped. But the church...
You mean the tools themselves?
The tools themselves.
Totally.
They've not been stopped. Nobody's going to stop it. So what do you do with a tool that has been introduced and nothing's going to stop it? Mm-hmm. What did it cost the church when we were afraid of what to do with this?
Yeah.
And it literally, what has happened?
Well, I mean, I'm curious to hear what you think too, Prudence, but I mean, if you look at every single one of these examples, especially anything that's happened in the last 100 years, the church has done this thing over and over again. And there's a lot more than 6 examples. It's just these are the 6 biggest ones, in my opinion, that have to do with technology. But the church declares that it's bad because they don't understand it. And because they don't understand it and they declare it to be bad, they run from it. And then they run from it, and that creates what I like to refer to as a vacuum, an information vacuum, or it could be a person, like a presence vacuum. Like we as Christians have removed our presence, so there's a vacuum now. And when that happens, Satan thinks that's just wonderful. He literally says this, yes, please go and hide, and now that you have left the house totally to me and never moved out completely, I will move all my furniture and things in and... greatly, thankfully, wonderfully, just fill in the space, take over, and then the church looking from behind the bushes. What's going on? Oh my goodness! See, Satan's using the internet. It's crazy. It's just horrible. Like, look what's happening. Well, just like any tool, if we hand it over to Satan and say, "Look, we think this is kind of a crazy thing," so. You just go ahead and use it as much as you want, but we're going to hide from it. What is he going to do?
Oh, he's going to occupy.
He's going to occupy.
Yeah. He's going to occupy.
I mean, why would we think he wouldn't?
So let's get honest about this. So people aren't really scared of the software, right? They're scared of something that's underneath it. So let's talk about a couple of those fears. What are we afraid of when it comes to AI? And just kind of look at that. So one fear is I will be replaced as a human being. Yes. My value was my output, and the output just got cheaper.
Yes. You mean just generally speaking, they read the news articles about how 80 million jobs are going to go away next week.
Well, I mean, honestly, I don't know if a lot of us are aware of why we're afraid of the new tools that come. But this is like a fear that's underneath the emotion that we feel when we don't understand something. And truthfully speaking, I mean, AI is on a warpath,
Yeah.
really, to replace a lot of the mundane jobs and things that we do as human beings, right?
Well, and I'm curious, put in the comments if you're afraid of AI, or now that we said afraid of AI, you probably are going to, well, I'm not, even if you were, because we just kind of ripped on it for 10 minutes. But like, what are your concerns about AI? Put them in the chat. Like, do you have any, and what are they? And by the way, everything that we just talked about is not setting us up to say you shouldn't have concerns about AI or
Right.
any technology
Right. Or any of the tools. I mean,
or any
because
tool.
they're always going to be used for bad. Like, it's never not going to be the case.
100%.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think that we're in a time where we have to have greater levels of discernment than we've ever had before. Also,
Yeah.
so
Yep. So we'll get to kind of like that piece, but the fear number two is I'll be deceived.
tricked. I'll be tricked. I'll
So
be
when you're
deceived.
just talking into this discernment, the whole discernment thing, I'll be deceived is number two, probably in our fears, where we literally we can't tell what's real anymore.
Yeah,
That's really scary,
yeah, yeah,
actually.
yeah,
Really
yeah,
scary.
yeah. I think that I love that. I love the way that you kind of talked about that as a tool, because not every tool, I suppose, but most tools can be used for great good or great bad. And you just think of like the simplest tool, like a hammer. So hammer is like one of the top 3 or 4 most common murder weapons that exists.
A hammer?
A hammer.
Oh,
I think it's the third most common murder
those
weapon.
haven't been outlawed yet.
They haven't been outlawed.
Don't tell anybody.
Well, but I think that it's too late for that. This is a live show.
You're going to be locked up now.
It's too late. People are aware. I didn't come up with this. But like, obviously, you can use a hammer to do great damage or great good.
Yeah.
Like this house we're in wouldn't exist without hammers, but also hammer can be used for murder. So it's super important to make sure that we are thinking about things like this as a tool, and that we need to respect the tool.
Yeah. So the I'll be deceived part.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah. So discernment isn't a feature that we download, right? It's a fruit that we grow through time in the Word, time with Spirit, time with real people. And I think that time with real people, this is just a little rabbit trail, but I think the time with real people is going to circle back around, and people are starting to really crave that.
People
with
want
people. And
Yeah.
because, it's what we were born to be with each other and around each other. And that's really taken a back seat in the rise of all of these digital things.
Yeah.
We literally have been on a diet of digital stuff for way too long now. And that deficiency inside of us is coming back up to that surface, and we need to be with each other
Yeah.
authentically.
Yeah, and I don't know if you were going to go here tonight, Prudence, but one of the things that I talk about in the book that happened at that event where I was speaking. So they brought us in to speak to this executive team, and it was like the CEO and the CTO and the COO and all the COs. And so there's about 10 people in the room plus the 4 of us that were brought in to speak to them, and it was 4 hours. And so we talked about a lot of things. And near the end of it, the CTO of this organization, which is a couple hundred employees, it's a fairly good size for a nonprofit. It's big. And CTO, if you don't know, stands for Chief Technology Officer. So this is the guy who's supposed to know the most about technology. And so he says, Chris, what I am worried about is that really soon, so AI is getting so good, and this actually happened about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
18 months ago? About 18 months ago. So a lot has happened in the last 18 months, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So, but he said really soon, AI is going to be so good with like pictures and videos and like voice and things like this, and that we won't be able to tell the difference. So, Chris, who are we going to trust? And, you know, it's kind of like this thing where when I was a kid and you know, when you guys that are watching this, when you were younger, you know, you could turn on the news and if Walter Cronkite was talking, you could pretty much trust it. Now, I mean, I know there's a lot that has come out and we don't really trust. And nowadays we trust the media even less. And I'm not saying we should trust the media and stuff. Okay. So like, that's kind of I don't want to go down that rabbit trail, but it was kind of like, there was a level of trust you could legitimately have with what you saw. You knew if you were seeing a video of Walter Cronkite talking about the evening news or whatever, it was actually him behind the camera and he was really reading a thing and it was really a person. And that isn't true anymore.
No.
Not even remotely true. So the CTO's question is, who is the person that we can now trust? And he really was wanting me to say, well, it's Donald Trump, of course, or whatever, right? Like he probably wasn't wanting me to say that, but he was hoping a person would be the person, would be the source, would be the safety factor. And the truth is, we all know, if you're on this, you already know the answer is there isn't a person. And also, by the way, we shouldn't be trusting a person anyway.
Oh, unless it's Jesus.
We should be trusting Holy Spirit
I
only.
just
Yeah.
thought I'd throw that
Yeah,
out
just
there.
throw
It's
that
a
out there.
Sunday
Give me
school
five.
answer. It's a
Five.
Sunday school answer.
But it's actually the right one. It's actually the right one.
Yeah. So discernment has to rise to the occasion.
Discernment has to rise.
Discernment has to rise. We have got to get our discernment,
Ducks in a row.
well,
Our
start
discernment ducks
whittling
in a
it,
row.
sharpening it, you know, and that's just going to have to start competing.
Well, here's what I told him. I said there is no person, there is no website, there's no like safe place to go get your news. I don't care what thing you like. There's no safe. The only answer is a Christian having a real relationship with the Holy Spirit that has learned to have discernment to hear correctly from the Lord. That's actually the only answer. And he looked at me, he pushed his chair back and he leaned back and he took a big, huge sigh. And then he sat there for what felt like 10 minutes, but it was probably just 10 seconds. But he then looked over and he said, I believe you're right. And I believe that's terrifying.
Yeah.
Because what he knew to be true, and what a lot of us know to be true, even though we might not want to admit it, is that most Christians don't have better discernment than the non-Christian sitting next to them at the coffee shop. Like they don't really have good discernment. And the thing is that that's the only answer. In an AI world, that's the only answer.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah. I think that this is a massive opportunity for Christians or anyone, you know, that believes that they're a Christian, is practicing Christianity in their daily lives. This is a massive opportunity for us to sharpen the discernment inside ourselves. It's actually a call to all of us to get with the program.
Yeah.
Get with the program. We got to just stop relying on everyone else to tell us what is what. Now, sometimes it's helpful to ask advice because even in some of the pictures or videos that I come across, I'm asking you, is this real? You know?
Usually when you're asking me, the answer is no. Usually.
Yeah, because I'm like learning to figure out for myself. I don't. Yeah, I need to be sharpening my own skills in the discernment section. But speaking to the identity of us as human beings and all of the rise of this AI stuff, I think that is really important now more than ever for all of us to understand who we are, the value that we bring as a human being, and that we were valuable before we were useful, and nothing about that has changed. Right?
No. Correct.
So AI wants to, we kind of are feeling like this AI stuff is just going to bump us out of our lanes
Right.
because of what we don't know is coming,
Right.
what the growing intelligence that is happening. We literally don't know, and that's freaky to
Right.
us as
Yeah,
humans.
it is scary.
But to understand who we are in our identity with Christ, who we are, we're made to be, and we can help you out a lot in that department through the human nexus, which we talk about a lot, and that is a big part of our calling and what we do, is to help you discover who you were designed to be. But we just we have to be solid in valuing each other as human beings and ourselves first, and then somebody else, right? Because you can't give away what you don't already have.
Yeah.
So how
Well, I want to press into that because you talked about the two fears. So to recap on the two fears, one fear was that AI would replace us.
right.
And one fear and the other fear, but there's more fears than this, by the way, but these are the two primary fears that keep coming up over and over and over again, is that AI will replace us. And the second one is that AI will trick us. Like we will be deceived. We won't know the truth. And the two things go together. And here's what I mean by that. If you look at the last 6,000 years, there has been this kind of two parallel tracks that have happened. One is the people that are running towards God and want a relationship with him. And one is people that are essentially, even if they don't fully recognize it, they truly inside they do, they're running away from God. So there's these two tracks. And for the last 6,000 years, the ability to have a quality life between those two tracks, now people will argue with me all day long, but for the most part is not been that different. The ability to understand the world, the ability to kind of see how things work, the ability to prosper and have a fulfilling life by the world standards in any case, they've kind of been in parallel. In other words, Christians to the world have not had much to offer. Now, they have had a supernatural peace, and that draws people to the Lord, and they kind of live differently, and that kind of draws people to the Lord. But for the most part, the world has looked at Christians and gone, huh, that's interesting for you. Anyways, back to my worldly living, for the most part. Do you agree with this?
Yeah.
So here is what I think is going to happen in the next 24 months. I believe for the first time in all of human history, the world is stuck with the same problem I just referenced, which is they will not know. No one will know. When they see on their Facebook the video of the raccoons jumping on the trampoline, they won't know. They won't know if it's real or fake. Now, when you talk about funny videos of raccoons jumping on trampolines, it doesn't matter. But when you talk about real life-changing media, news, information, pictures, videos, or whatever, or what to believe about what's happening around them or not, the world won't know. That's the fear too. I will be deceived. So Christians have that and the world has that. And for the first time in human history, the only answer to that question is a supernatural one. It's never been true before. For the first time in history, it's a supernatural one. So what do I mean by that? I mean that within the next 2 years, this is how fast this is happening. Christians that do have a real relationship with Holy Spirit and have discernment and can actually have a conversation with the Lord and hear kind of what's going on and be able to with Holy Spirit kind of understand what's happening around them and make smart decisions and be able to tell truth from lies, they will suddenly be the most important people in the world. Now, this is also a place where people can get tripped up and get big heads and stumble and fall too. So Satan's going to go after them too. But if you guys can get this, like put in the comments if you kind of understand what I'm saying. The Christians that actually have discernment will become the most important people for all of humanity because the world has no answer to this either. They don't have the opportunity to have supernatural discernment. So what does that really mean? It doesn't mean that this is the greatest time for Christian businesses to have an edge. Okay. By the way, that's also true, but that's not really what it means. What it really means is that we have a greater opportunity now, and I think over the next few years, next 10 years, to actually carry out things like the Great Commission, because for the first time ever, the non-Christian their only option will be to turn towards their Christian friend and say, can you help me make this decision? Because ChatGPT told me one thing and Claude told me another and my friend told me something else and I don't even know what to believe anymore. And you seem like you have the answers and I don't even know if I believe in God, but you seem to know things when they're fake. Can you help me? And we've never experienced this before. I believe the greatest opportunity mankind has ever had, Christianity has ever had, to usher in, to really create a sheep nation out of a goat nation. Now I'm kind of gone really big picture here for a second, but Prudence, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree that this is a massive growth opportunity for us as the church to be in predicaments where we know because the Holy Spirit can tell us things that nobody else can. Well, I have a note here on this that's talking to like a terrified parent, but I think that it actually applies to anybody. And it says that you don't raise the kids who can spot the fake by keeping them away from everything. You raise them by putting the real thing in front of them so often that the counterfeit feels wrong in their gut.
Yes.
So when it comes to raising kids, this is freaky. This whole thing. I mean, all of the tools have been freaky as far as I'm concerned, where you just don't know how to put things in front of your kids. But the truth is that we all have to develop self-control, self-discipline.
Right.
The discernment is all like a package deal when it comes to any of this digital stuff. We have to install and layer the moral foundations of the right and wrong.
Yeah.
And then on top of that comes the self-discipline, the self-control, which are fruits of the Spirit.
Yep.
And that gives us all an ability to say no.
Yeah.
When there's something that isn't right that comes in front of our path, because we're the only ones that get to make that choice and decision.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be around when my kid gets offered X, Y, and Z. At one point in his life, he's going to have to make that choice for himself.
And you're not going to be there.
I'm not going to be there.
Yeah.
And it's the same for all of us
really
individuals. So when it comes to kids, be wise in how you introduce stuff. Don't try to bury things. Talk to your kids about the truth behind stuff. Explore with them together. Teach them how to handle and manage what new tool is happening.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about tool, we're not supposed to worship the tool. And I think that when we're talking about ravens and AI and the delivery system and method,
Yeah.
I think we need to touch bases on this just a
That's
little
really
bit.
good. Thank you.
But the tool is a raven. It's usually, it carries the bread. It is not the bread.
It's not the bread. It's not the provider of the bread.
And the second we start worshiping the raven, we've missed the whole point of the story on everything. Just rolls downhill from there.
You have absolutely nailed it. Yes.
So, I mean, I think that it's really important to make sure that we're not replacing Holy Spirit with the tools.
Absolutely. It's very important.
Because they're just a carrier. They're not
You're absolutely
anything
right.
more than that.
Yeah. And I think, so the first hurdle that we got to get most Christians over is the raven itself. And so God has a habit. God has, by the way, God, I personally believe God has an incredible sense of humor.
Yes,
I think
yes,
he
he
has an
does.
incredible sense of humor. So I think he employs these ravens, which is what we're defining this as, is what we would consider an inappropriate delivery system. I think he does this anytime we kind of develop a bunch of religion around whatever it is.
Yeah.
So you see this, he does this all throughout Scripture. It's not just the raven with Elijah, but it's donkeys talking to prophets because
Yeah.
they're not listening to anyone else. It's Cyrus saving a nation. It's manna as the food source. Like it's complete. The word manna means what is it?
Yeah.
It's like a completely new thing. And then I think ultimately Jesus himself was a raven. Actually, he was an inappropriate delivery system. People are like, oh my goodness, what are you saying about Jesus? Now think about this. The reason that they ended up crucifying him is because he was not the Messiah they were looking for.
Right.
They had an idea of what the Messiah was going to be, and then he showed up completely different than what they expected, and they rejected him from that. And I think that God has a way of using these inappropriate delivery systems. By the way, he's God. He can kind of do whatever he wants.
Well, in fact, as we've been talking about this subject for the last couple of months, I think that you and I both have started looking at the things that happen in our lives and just calling the thing or person, whatever the message is coming through, a raven.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's like a unexpected way to bring the meat, to bring the message,
Absolutely.
to bring the answer to the problem, the support, whatever it is.
Absolutely.
And it's actually been really fascinating to look at it in that way because it opens you up to see God providing in so many different ways you never really realized. He does every day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that that's the first hurdle you got to get over. And then the second hurdle you got to get over is using the tool. So what happened a lot in Scripture, and you guys know this that are on this, you probably know these stories, but was the raven would come and it would first get rejected, but then they would accept it, but then they would make it into a god. And you also can't do that. Like you said, I love the way you said that, Prudence. The raven is the tool. So in this case, AI is the tool, and I think that this doesn't mean. By the way, this doesn't mean I'm saying, hey, AI is amazing. Everybody should just trust AI and use AI all the time. It's actually very important that we pay very close attention to what's happening because it's actually also very dangerous. Just like a hammer can be used to kill somebody or build a house.
Right.
Like it's extremely important.
It's a sharp tool.
It's a sharp tool. It's
Very
extremely
sharp.
important that we are smart about it and care about it and careful. But the worst thing we can do is say, wow, that is such a dangerous hammer. I'm going to hide from it and I'm going to build this house without a hammer. I've decided I'm going to build a house without a hammer. Like, that's definitely dumb.
Yeah.
Let's not be dumb.
No, I don't want to be dumb anymore.
I've decided we have a new campaign. Don't be dumb. So,
Yeah.
let's be smart, but we have to be wise. We have to be really smart. And I believe that we cannot afford to hide this time. We hid in social media. We hid with the internet. We hid with radio. We hid with television. We cannot do that.
Yeah. You guys can put in any questions into the chat that you might want to ask. But while you're doing that, I think that it's important to note that especially the more experienced generations, that you don't have that you just dissolve the shame about feeling behind. When it comes to the tools that are rapidly being produced and created now,
Yeah.
I think that just speaking to the more experienced generations, I'm impressed with actually a lot of, I call the older people more experienced because I think that's a fairer title.
It's definitely true. I love it.
I'm impressed with a lot of the people that are older than me that actually know quite a bit more than I do, even in this section. But just, breathe through it. there are people that can help you with stuff, and you're not too old to learn stuff. In fact, it's really healthy for our brains to keep learning new things. And we're all about bridging the connections of the different generations. So don't feel like you're irrelevant, because you're not, because you carry a lot of things that everybody needs.
Yeah.
And that experience you can't buy.
Yeah.
You cannot buy it.
Yeah.
So show up to the younger generations and be interested
Yeah.
in these new tools. Ask them questions. They
Yeah.
would love to teach and help you and show you.
Absolutely.
And it's a great building exercise between the generations, but don't feel any shame about being behind on it.
Well, the thing is like, no one that starts learning about AI now is behind, because things are rapidly changing all the time. And again, I'm not this podcast, this episode is not like AI is amazing, everybody should be using it 10 times a day. Like, by the way, I actually do think that they should be using a certain tool that we've developed, but that's not really the message here. The message here is that the church, okay, and I don't mean to, and I don't approve of ripping on the church all the time. So I that's not really what I'm meaning to do. But the church has screwed up badly over the last 500 years. With every single technological advance, the church has proven 100% of the time to hide from it, because it's unknown and they're scared and they don't know what to do. We couldn't afford it then. We really can't afford it now. This is the greatest opportunity we have ever had to do the bring heaven to earth thing that Jesus talks about. It really is.
So, does your book, for anyone that's interested in ordering, I'm sure you're going to put a link in.
I'm going to put a link in there right now.
It's helpful. It's got a lot of helpful things in this.
Yeah. So this book, let me tell you about this book real quick. This book is not here's how you use ChatGPT. It's not an instruction guide on how to use AI at all. It is called A Believer's Field Guide to AI, Fear, and the Next Great Move of God. This book is a lot more about why it is so important for believers to not be afraid, and to be smart, and to deepen their relationship with the Lord, and regardless of what it is. Now, it is centered around a lot of AI, but it's more of a call for all of us to step up. Nobody should be retired and just watching TV right now. Like, it's all hands on deck if we're going to be charged by Jesus, this is what he said, is to go into all the world and make disciples of nations. So that's our job. If we're actually going to do that, we need to be smart. We need to be working together. We need to understand each other. We need to understand ourselves, and we need to be leveraging the tools we have available to us, not foolishly or carelessly, but wisely. And that's what this book is really about. I just put a link in here.
So you didn't write this to hype AI or to help you survive it.
Correct.
You wrote it so we'd stop being afraid of the wrong things.
Correct. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing book. I obviously am biased, but like, you should get it. It's available on Kindle and it's available in paperback, and we have the audio version coming soon. And it's incredible. I just put a link in here. You can find it on Amazon. And if anybody has read the book that's on the chat, you can put in there, like, in one sentence what you think about it. I don't know if anyone is, but if you have, like, this isn't like a how to use ChatGPT guide. This is significantly more important and bigger than that.
Yeah.
There's plenty of YouTube videos for that sort of thing. The other thing that we're going to do is we are going to, next week, we're going to have a webinar where we're specifically talking about Cavix, which is the AI tool that we built. So everybody that registered to see this, you're going to get an email about that. But if you want to be included, it's a free webinar. If you want to be included on that, we're going to be talking about AI. Just put, I'm going to put my email. Actually, just email me, Chris at.
Yes. So, and then again, if anybody has any questions, please put those in the chat. We have just a few minutes
Yeah,
left
and there's
here.
some in here. So I just put my email, chris.benke@goddesignliving.com. Email me, and I'll add you to the list for the webinar. It'll probably be late next week, and it's free. There'll be a replay to it, and then we're going to talk specifically about Cavix. Cavix is a tool that we built over the last 2 years that is an incredibly powerful enterprise-grade, secure AI tool that is amazing. And I would love to talk to you guys about that. But questions, there's some questions in here. So a couple of things in here. One person talked about all of the dangers of all of the tracking in AI. That's a super valid point. I do believe, so it's real. All of these tools track. But the truth is that if you use any kind of social media platform, and a lot of people don't, but if you use any kind of social media platform, if you use any kind of smartphone, if you use any kind of Google, like you use Google, even the DuckDuckGo to some degree, all of those things are actually tracking. And even if you're like, I don't use any of those. First of all, awesome. That's hard, but good job for you. The problem is that if you go in public and, like, for example, if you drive from our little town through Bend, Oregon, and then down towards, let's say, Lapine, Oregon. Okay, you just drive that 100 miles there and back thing. So 50 miles each way, let's say. You will be watched and tracked by probably 600 or 700 cameras. So we have to. I'm not saying the tracking is good. We shouldn't pay attention to it or anything. We use Proton Mail, like tracking, like, okay. But we also have to be aware that we live in a world that's already tracking everything. And so we can't let Satan use that to control us. I'm not saying that we shouldn't pay attention to it and we shouldn't avoid it and we shouldn't be aware of what's being tracked and be smart, okay? But at the same time, like, 600-700 cameras if I drive from here to Lapine and back. So we're already being tracked. We need to not let Satan trick us with everything's being tracked. By the way, the tool that we have, Cavix, there is no tracking inside of that. And we use the same systems that the U.S. military uses to connect with the intelligence layers behind Anthropic and OpenAI. So we'll talk about that in that webinar. So if you're worried about security and tracking, like, that's your best answer. Other questions? Prudence, did you have any questions? There's some in here, and I'm scrolling to find them right now. One said, "Who's accountable for AI?" That's a super good question. One that we can't explore fully. You could probably do a whole podcast on that. But the thing is, it used to be, if we're watching Walter Cronkite on the evening news or whatever, Walter Cronkite is accountable for what Walter says. And this is a very good question. So if AI is like making declarations and opinions and it's telling you things and it's saying to do this or do that, and then you do that and then it like doesn't work out in your life, who's accountable? Who can I sue? Like, who can I go after and say, hey, you gave me bad advice and I'm mad about it and you got to be held accountable? Truth is no one.
That's
Truth is no one.
Yeah.
Which plays right back to that discernment thing. So the truth is you. You are accountable for what you learn from AI and do based on what it says. So some people, that alone will be enough for them to be, well, I can't use it then. To which I would say, listen, you're taking a risk every time you get on an airplane or get in your car, and like, you have to weigh, like, what is it going to cost me to go do important things in the world? And who can I hold accountable to like, to some degree, that's why we need the discernment. Because it's ultimately us. Because there's no longer a finger you can point to and say, Walter gave me bad info.
Right.
AI is a computer. You can point your finger all day long and no one's at the other end of it. So that's a really good question. It's kind of an uncomfortable answer, but it is the truth.
Yeah.
Any thoughts while I'm looking for more questions? There's some more in here. There's a lot of you guys. By the way, thank you for all these comments. This is amazing. I love this. Very important. Thank you for the book and the tool. Great tool. Thank you. Please spell that AI tool. Cavix. So the tool is called Cavix, and you can learn more about it on that webinar. And I would love to explain all this. There's a couple different ways you can get access to Cavix, but for the people on this kind of thing here, it's really probably the best way is through our God Design Living platform, which we're relaunching. So it's an amazing time because you can get access to these tools for less than you will in the future. But the thing is get on the webinar and we'll dig into Cavix specifically.
And then if they want to browse and look at our website, is our website link on there?
When you say our website, we got like 10 websites. Which one are you thinking of? Which one are you thinking of?
Whichever one would take them to more information on this.
On Cavix.
Yeah.
So if you want just raw website info on Cavix, you can go to thehumannexus.com, which is, I'll put it in here, thehumannexus.com. So there's a question in here that says, aren't the developers and or creators of AI accountable to some degree? Yeah, the answer is kind of. And in the past, that would be more true than it is now. So, if you think about, I have a tool on my phone, a piece of software on my phone, and it, let's say it tells me the weather. And so I buy it for $5 and it tells me the weather, and then it gives me bad weather info. And then I'm mad about that. And I go to the weather app and I say, guys, you're held accountable for the bad weather. And they're like, gosh, sorry about that. Gave you the bad info. We're sorry. We're accountable. That's all fine. That's kind of the way software has been written and tools have been created for the past 50 years. What's different about AI is no one programs AI to give specific answers. Now, this is confusing, and we're going to talk about this a little bit on this webinar, kind of what is AI and how does it work? It's not actually programmed to give a specific answer to a specific thing. It's taught like a person, which is weird. It is super weird, but it is true. And so, the people that program AI, they give it information and it learns from that information. And let's say they want it to have a certain political leaning, they give it more info about that. So it kind of learns more of that kind of thinking, just like you could with a kid. Just like as a young person's growing up, if you feed it lots of information, you feed that kid lots of information, they begin to develop ideas around that, right? This is why it's so important who's teaching your children, for example. And this is actually how AI is. So there is a little bit of accountability for sure, but also it's its own prediction algorithm, which is weird, super weird, you guys, super weird, which is why we're having this webinar to kind of dig into AI specifically a little bit more.
So it's basically a cat that you're not putting back in the box.
It's a cat you're not putting back in the box.
We're not putting this back in the box.
And you know what? Cat is a great, because cats are kind of like they do what they want,
so
actually.
Anybody that's tried to put a cat in something, they do.
Yeah, they don't.
They want to do their own thing.
Cats don't want to comply.
Oh,
They want to do their own thing.
Yeah.
So, yes. But like, that's why the tool that you use is so important, which is actually one of the reasons why we developed Cavix in the first place. There's a whole bunch of reasons, which we'll talk about on that webinar, but one of the reasons is you don't really know what's in these tools, and people don't really say. And they can't even fully say. And so when we developed Cavix, we wanted to create something that we knew was built on top of a foundation of kingdom principles. And that was very important to us. But at the end of the day, the whole who's accountable thing is fuzzier than it seems like it should be, but it is true. Okay, let's see what other questions are here. The human nexus, great analogy with the cats. Mary, I'm telling you, cats definitely do their own thing. What am I looking at doing? Okay.
So we're out of time, Chris.
We're out of time.
Out of time.
Well, I thought we just started.
Nope. Sorry.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Any last questions? Put them in there. I do want to tell you about something. So this show is called How People Flourish. We've been doing it now for a little while. We're currently having a debate between the two of us about whether this is a once a month or twice a month show. And it really needs to be twice a month or more. Right, Mercedes? Mercedes, our producer, is Definitely, she knows. She knows. So this is produced by Chris and Prudence Ministries, and we really try to bring valuable content to you guys. We also have a thing that comes out every week called the One Accord, which is prophetic prayer and declarations with music from Prudence kind of underneath it. She plays prophetically on the piano. It's incredible. So we have that. We have a lot of other resources. That ministry also allows us to give the Nexus profile away for free. So if you go to the Human Nexus and you take the Nexus profile, you can take it for free. Now, there's a version you can upgrade and pay for more information, but there's a free. The reason we can give that away for free is because of the Chris and Prudence Ministries. So if you would like to support the work that we're doing and have found these things helpful, you can do that at chrisandprudence.com. I'm going to put that in here as well. chrisandprudence.com. Let me put that in here. Doing 3 things at once. Is that what you wanted me to say?
I don't know. It sounds fine.
Good.
Sounds fine.
Yeah, so you can find that there, and we would very much appreciate it. It helps us to continue to produce content like this. Any other comments or questions?
Well, we really appreciate everyone joining us today for this topic, and I think that this will be shareable, right?
Yeah, this is shareable. There's a replay that'll go out. There's another question in here, and I'm just going to drop it, but we actually don't have time, and I will answer this question thoroughly in the webinar. How about that?
Okay.
So the question is, the kids already have a mind created by God, but AI, ? Who gives them the mind and what kind of mind so it can be taught? Super good question. Who is really teaching AI? And the sneak peek of that answer is if Christians hide, AI is generally programmed by the people using it. So if no one's asking AI any kind of God questions, Bible questions, or talking about it in their interactions with AI, then AI will believe that humanity doesn't care about God.
Oh, that is tricky.
So that's the sneak peek of an
That
answer
is
that I will
tricky.
dig into more. I will dig
Okay.
into that more. It's super, super good. Again, thank you so much for tuning
Yeah.
in. If you want to get the book, I'll drop that in one more time right now. The book is called Ravens and Algorithms. You can find the paperback and Kindle version on Amazon at that link I just put in there. You can just search for Chris space Banky, and you can find different books that I have written, and that Ravens and Algorithms is right up there. Thank you in advance for buying it. You're going to love it, I promise. If you want to learn more about Kavix specifically, you go to thehumannexus.com, but just email me directly, and I'll make sure you're on the list. Everybody that registered for this, you're also going to get an email for that webinar. So hopefully we'll see you guys on the webinar.
Yeah.
And if you want to support everything that we are doing at Chris and Prudence Ministries, you can find that at chrisandprudence.com. Is that everything?
I think it's time for you to take a break.
Do you sure you don't want to do any trivia?
He's nope.
Okay.
Nope.
You guys, it's not my fault. I wanted to do the trivia. Maybe next time we'll do the trivia. Until then, we'll see you.
Yep. God bless,
The
guys.
next one.